A pleasant good evening and a warm welcome to Lntv News Live. This is a 30-minute presentation of major news about Liberia and other parts of our one world. It's Thursday, the 28th day of January 2021. My name is Zokwe Beslokonen, anchoring this edition of the program. In our headlines, Agriculture Ministry says for the first time, Liberia's cocoa has been upgraded on the new stock exchange. Liberian government threatens punitive actions against individuals allegedly stealing street lights currently being installed across Liberia. Youth and Sports Ministry and partners launch Sports for Peace initiative at ongoing national county meet. And away from home, the African Union AU secures an additional 400 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines for its member states. Those are the headlines. We take a break to bring you the faces of the newsmakers. Liberia's cocoa has been upgraded from Category D to Category B for the first time following the country's civil war on the New York Stock Exchange. This means that the cocoa from Liberia will now be sold for higher prices on the world market. The disclosure was made Thursday in Monrovia by Agriculture Minister Jenny Cooper when she spoke at the Information Ministry regular press briefing.
I'm very, very grateful to President George Manawia, not only for the opportunity to lead this sector that I'm very passionate about, but also for the support that he has been giving and that he has promised as we go forward. But as I stand here today, I just got news less than half an hour ago about the cocoa sector, and so I will lead with that. Liberian cocoa has just been upgraded from Category D, D as in dog, to Category B as in boy, on the New York Stock Exchange. This is the first time since before the war. And this is a phenomenal thing for us. It means that we will get higher prices for our cocoa. It means that the quality of Liberian cocoa is being recognized around the world. And this is something that we have been seeing where all of the major international cocoa buyers are interested in Liberian cocoa. This is something that we need to celebrate.
A one-day national dialogue on enhancing and supporting investment in rice and cocoa production takes place this Friday in Banga, Bon County. The dialogue is being initiated by the Ministries of Agriculture and Finance. In an interview with this station Thursday, the political economist in the office of the Finance Minister, Emmanuel Muyene, said the move is to fast-track President Weah's plan for the agriculture sector.
The essence of this meeting is to listen attentively to some of the challenges faced by the private sector in expanding the production base. And then government will come in, playing their role as a means of facilitating growth within those two sectors, the rice and cocoa, to see how best we can expand it. So this is the significance of this meeting. Outcome for this meeting will be filtered into the larger meeting that is to take place February. That is the National Agriculture Conference.
Okay, so we have a planned National Agriculture Conference coming up.
Right. And so at tomorrow's meeting, we will be trashing out some of the challenges. As you are aware, the government, there's the biggest rice processing plant is in Foya. That plant needs to go into full operation, almost between $200 to $300 million, which is a deficit in terms of our foreign exchange our generation. So we want to see how best we can address these challenges, not only from a food insecurity perspective, but from a cash crops-based perspective, where the government of Liberia or the private sector will have the enabling business climate to be able to produce, have access to market, and be able to sell the good and improve the standard of living.
How many farmers are expected to attend tomorrow's conference?
Well, we expect farmers mainly from the cocoa and rice belt, that is Nima, Bong, and Lofa counties, and other producers from Grand Bassa, Monrovia, and Grand Cape Mine in the Southeastern Corridor will be there. We're also bringing together our international partners from UNFAO, WFP, Grow Liberia, the International Financial Corporation, the World Bank, the African Rice, and other players.
The Liberian government has threatened punitive actions against individuals allegedly taking down streetlights being installed in parts of the city. Speaking Thursday, Deputy Information Minister Eugene Fangon warned said persons to desist or face the full weight of the law.
We have picture evidence. Daniel has it with him right now, that there are individuals going around and trying to unbolt the newly installed street lights. We have picture to that effect. They're going and taking out the bolts so that eventually the pole will fall. Woe betide you if we catch you. This will have nothing to do with politics. It will have nothing to do with opposition operatives or enemies of the state. That will have nothing to do with that. If we catch you, you will rot in jail. You will probably regret your action in your sleep. Because as a nation, there shouldn't be anyone trying to put us back where we came from. We lost our poles, our street lights. We saw how much it hurt us. And for His Excellency to put all his time and effort into lighting up our city, and a group of people intending to sabotage the project will go at night and try to unbolt the poles, as is being seen in the pictures that we're getting. Do not let us catch you. No one in this country will shield you from the punishment that you're supposed to bear. And you will regret it every day, I repeat, in your sleep.
The presidential street light project has extended to the Johnsonville Road following groundbreaking by Chris Electrical Corporation, a Liberian company subcontracted to carry out the installation. Workers of the company were Thursday seen at the project site digging the pedestals for the planting of light poles. Chris Electrical General Manager Ali Victor Sanon said the first phase of the project will see street lights installed from the Bannersville Dry Rice Market to the Johnsonville Turning Point. Mr. Sanon spoke in an interview with this station in Johnsonville.
We are here based on the presidential mandate through the quality group of companies and subcontracted Chris Electrical Corporation to come in to do the pedestal and the installation of the street lights of this avenue from the Johnsonville Dry Rice Market up to the Johnsonville Turning Point, and upward from Johnsonville Turning Point to Pepper Red Light Market. But for now we are on the Johnsonville Dry Rice Market to the Johnsonville Turning Point. Well, we spread like everywhere indeed, because the installation, the president said he wants street light in every loophole and corner where quota road is. And you can see for the glaring fact that another quota road will be installed right after this level. The alpha will be coming, and right after the alpha, the street light will be installed. So that in due time, the this project was through the quality group of companies that took the contract and subcontract to Chris Electrical Corporation. Yeah, you see, Chris Electrical is all about Liberians. Jobless, educated children, people that graduated from high school, people that graduated from college, no work, but they have the technical know-how, those LEC dropouts, that LEC train, enable them to be energetic in the field of connectivity. We get a guy, Chris brought them in, Chris Electrical recruited them, putting them together so that this entity is all about Liberian and young Liberian and for Liberian. It's all about Liberians. And I think it's more expedient and be satisfactory to the president that Liberia should take hold of the economic. And we see this through Chris Electrical leading the way, galvanizing the effort of the young people that are technically, inclined to that level. We get women, with gender balance.
A Sport for Peace initiative aimed at enhancing youth involvement in peace through sports has been launched in Monrovia. The program was launched by the Ministry of Youth and Sports in partnership with Messengers for Peace. In an Lntv interview Thursday, the executive director for Messengers for Peace, the implementing partner of the program, Gwendolyn Myers, said the program is currently targeting players of the ongoing national county meet.
Whatever you do, what are your strategies, your innovations? So we gave them peace emblem. So not just working with the captains to deliver the messages, of course, to call on people, because different captains have different messages. It depends what they want to convey to people, right? To say we're using sports as a way for reconciliation, social cohesion, and as well unity. Because that is the whole theme of the whole Sports for Peace of the National County Sports Meet for us, for our strategy. So now we're saying, okay, you deliver the messages. What next? What is it that you have as a commitment? It's something we call the Pledge for Peace. So that's what you see for the different openings. I always go on the page, give that peace emblem. We printed on it, the Sports for Peace, with all of the county's flag on it as well. So I mean, you're not just carrying your county. So this is something we say is a unifying force. It's for reconciliation as well. So you're not just saying, I'm just for Nima, I'm just for Magibi, I'm just for this. So you're carrying all of the county's flags on you. Okay, on that piece, handkerchief, what we call the emblem. So at the end of the day, you'll see me giving it to them and saying something where it's a way to pledge their commitment that you reach this far, and please know that you are not just playing sports. You're not just on the page. But whatever you do, bear in mind, representing your entire thing. So it's not just you as a captain. You're doing this to send a message that we're using sports as a way to unify. We're using sports as a way. So even if there are differences, mind you, it's not just that. So we also calling their attention to it to say this is where the leadership component comes in, because there will be issues. We always, conflict is inevitable, okay? But because of that emblem that you were carrying, so then it reminds you that even if there are situations, we probably take it to a dialogue table. So it's not just to do this, but it's not part of our mediation angle that is coming also through this county meet.
What's that motivation? Because last year...
Well, if you have just joined us, it's a reminder that you are watching Lntv News Live, 30 minutes of news about Liberia and other parts of our one world. It's Thursday, the 28th day of January, 2021. My name is Zokoe Beslekonen, anchoring this edition of the program. Let's recap our top stories. Agriculture Ministry says for the first time, Liberia's cocoa has now upgraded on the New York Stock Exchange. Liberian government threatens punitive actions against individuals allegedly stealing street lights currently being installed across Monrovia. Youth and Sports Ministry and partners launch Sports for Peace initiative at ongoing national county meet. And away from home, the African Union AU secures an additional 400 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines for its member states. Lntv News Live takes a short break to be right back. Welcome back to Lntv News Live. We continue with the program. The leadership of the Liberian Business Association, LIBA, says its focus for 2021 would be the promotion of Liberian businesses to effect growth in the country's economy. LIBA President James Strutter said Liberian businesses at home and in the diaspora are anticipating series of collaborations to make the necessary change in the economy. Mr. Strother made the remarks at a news conference in Pinsville Thursday in the countdown to an access to market event, the Yebely Festival, which kicks off this Saturday at the SKD complex in Pinsville.
This year, LIBA is strictly into promoting Liberians to see how we move Liberians from one stage to another. That is, the stage that we're moving them is from a level of not being growing to a level of growing the economy. Our activities this year is to join our forces to make a change in our history. We have always been hearing the negative side of Liberia. We want this time around to give the positive side of Liberia. The intent of this program is to bring Liberians in the diaspora, Liberians home, to be able to work together. As you may all know, that we signed an agreement with the Liberian in the diaspora, LIBA USA, to do partnership. And in the partnership, we need to introduce a platform that we can meet in engaging our activities. Now that we want to begin this, we want to see how we create them, inviting them to come home. But coming home, they could not just take flight and just come home and then come to discuss business, but there should be an occasion set in place that we can start communicating, try to rub shoulders and know exactly what we want to do. We got statistics of businesses that we want to engage, which of course, after this program, we will be meeting with the president of this country to lay out what we have worked on to see how he can improve it, because he is the father of the nation, to see how we can make this thing be a success. So we will be having the activity starting the 30th of January.
Caroline Cooper is the organizer of the Yebely Festival. She has been explaining more to Lntv News.
Okay, all Liberians who are selling, those who are manufacturing, also the Made in Liberia group, we realize that they themselves also need access to the Liberian population. Okay, so that is why we're having this is all Liberian vendors fair, which includes Liberians who are selling anything, and then Liberians who are manufacturing the fall in the Made in Liberia group. Okay, so that's going to kick off on January 30th, this Saturday at the SKD complex. On February 27th, we're going to have another trade fair at the same SKD complex. Okay, so we are building momentum for what's going to happen in March. Okay, so in March now, from March 6th, March 13th, and the whole week of March 15th to 20th, we're going to have nothing but trade fair. Okay, so there are other things that are going to take place. So as we build up momentum, comes in the middle part of March, we're going to have the climax of the festival. And the festival itself will include our cultural show. We're going to have our investment forum. We're going to have our tourism programs, because as a tourism company, we have tour programs that are already set up for our guests.
The Commissioner General of the Liberia Revenue Authority says the LRA was unaware of reported increment in tariff by APM terminals until it got a communication from the House of Representatives. Mr. Thomas Donner, however, said the concession allows APM terminals to increase charges, which the LRA does not have control over. Mr. Donner, however, wants relevant authorities to engage continuously to ensure smooth trade facilitation.
And what we will firstly want to do is to delineate our roles and responsibilities, because in that case, then it gives us a better picture of what the IRA does in relation to all of these transactions. So say for instance, the issue with the APM terminal. They have a concession, and from all indication that concession speaks to increment in the fees from time to time. Now, in terms of specifics, I said that we could not speak to why the fees has been increased, because we do not have control over that. But more broadly, in terms of trade facilitation, From our case, the LRA has never opted, for the increment of fees. It's not something that we promote. We will only promote it if it is logical. So in this case, first thing, we are unaware of the increment until the letter was written to us. On the issue of CTN, the same situation, the LRA is not a signatory to the CTN contract. So obviously, they do business here, collect taxes from them, and I guess you all will know better, the contracting parties.
Earlier, Montserrat County District 16 Representative Dixon Sibo called for urgent action to address the situation at the free port of Monrovia.
Concerning BVAC, GTMS, APM terminal, any hurdle they show in the process, end users are affected. And so, you being here today is to tell us, to a large extent, what is your position when it comes to all of these, and I say to use the word hurdles because the more we increase prices in the clearance process, the more we make room for people to leave from there and go to Guinea to bring goods in, the more the people in the market will pay higher prices. So, what has LRA done, or what can LRA do to ensure that those hurdles that we've been talking about are limited, or they are even eliminated, to ensure that there's a growth in imports that will also contribute to a growth in revenue and thereby growth in taxes?
A cash transfer program has been launched by the Gender Ministry to benefit about 15,000 vulnerable households in Monrovia. Making the disclosure Thursday at the Information Ministry, Gender Minister Willamette Siditar said the program is part of government's effort to ease 1 million people out of poverty.
Of Gender, Children and Social Protection is proud to announce that we've concluded all necessary requirements to begin a cash transfer pilot project to 15,000 households in urban Montserrat County. And this is mainly going to be happening in Monrovia. This is a fulfillment of the government's efforts to alleviate poverty amongst our people and in straight adherence to the Proper Agenda for Prosperity and Development, the PAPD, as per His Excellency President George Manuel Rios' vision of lifting 1 million people out of poverty. As the foremost social protection institute, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection is ecstatic to lead this history-making effort. All households within the selected communities, and we're talking about households in communities like Saytown, Blambo Town, Mambo Town, East, etc., are eligible to receive support from the social cash transfer in order to bring relief to communities, whilst at the same time helping them to cope with their day-to-day activities and meet immediate household needs. A single-person household will receive $15 per transfer, while 6-person plus household will receive $90 per transfer, and that is United States.
Government of Liberia has named stable macroeconomic and agriculture. The stable macroeconomy and agriculture as means through which it can achieve the projection of 3.2% growth in the economy. Government said it will invest more in agriculture and continue its road development program to stimulate economic growth. Speaking to Lntv Thursday, Deputy Finance Minister for Economic Management, Augustus Flomo, said with the current economic outlook and series of reforms under the IMF programs, government is optimistic of realizing such projection.
You cannot sustain that growth if you don't go to the real sector. So what we are saying now in the strategy is to move to agriculture. So that's why you heard my minister, the president reported, and you heard the minister the last time talking about we want to go. You have to go to agriculture. So now you talk about rice production, you talk about cocoa, coffee, you talk about rubber. You're talking about rubber alone contributes about 70% to our GDP. Or it has the potential to go beyond that amount. I mean that percentage. So we have, of course, the mining sector. The mining sector, the iron ore, there's gold. And people are still mining, and the president even reported on that. So I'm even shocked when people are talking. The president reported about the current arrangement that's going on with metal steel that is intended to add additional capacity. And also bring in additional revenue and create additional jobs. So all of these bases will culminate to the projection of the growth numbers. Okay. What happened is, how do we sustain that projection or even go beyond the projection? Because these are estimates. The same way with the budget. The budget is an estimate until it's executed. So if you do a national budget, they say the budget is 570 million. It doesn't mean the money is sitting there. The revenue has to perform, then you execute, and you see whether you'll be able to raise the 570 million, and then you'll be able to spend on those budget lines you agree on. So the projection made are on the basis of the environment that is being seen as the steps that we've taken as a government, the reforms that we've done, both at the macroeconomic space.
Minister Flomo also said the previous debt tracking mechanism by the past administration was a recipe for increasing domestic and public debts.
That refill was not done, and this is why you talk about debt. That refill was not done.
And we'll come there.
Yeah, that refill was not done. We had to go and recognize some of the gaps that were created that was not recognized with the central bank.
Is that why?
So that's what the president was talking here, because each time they have fiscal challenge, they went to the central bank and used, and there was an agreement, and they would take resources and pay salaries and keep operations. But under this new government, under His Excellency the President, President Weah, there's a decision that we are not borrowing from the central bank. So you see, part of the governance framework is to say we're not going to, if fiscal authority is not able to raise the resources needed to support its development agenda, we're not going to the central bank. Our fallback position is not the central bank. We will go look for other resources, other sources of resources, by talking to our partners, by going to financial instruments, which you mentioned. You go to the commercial banks, you have instruments that
so various sources of accruing money to support the budget are being opened.
Exactly. Not going to the central bank.
Yeah, because your boss said that 24 million. Say that these debts were hugely contributed to by the former administration.
That's correct. It would be very unrealistic. No, it's not unrealistic. It's not unrealistic. We contributed to it. But how much of that? Our percentage is over there is less than 25%.
25%?
25-30% of what is there.
But you just stopped borrowing from the central bank.
Yes.
That was just a decision you've taken.
No, we took this 2019.
Let's now bring you our foreign development. The Africa Center for Disease Control says the African Union, AU, has secured an additional 400 million doses of coronavirus vaccines for its members. This comes on top of another 270 million announced earlier. It is estimated that Africa will need 1.5 billion vaccine doses to vaccinate 60% of its inhabitants. Most countries on the continent have not started vaccinating people lacking the funds to purchase the drugs. The AU said earlier this month about 50 million vaccines would be available between April and June. The others will come later this year and next year. With that from the foreign scene, let's now recap our top stories. Agriculture Ministry says for the first time, Liberia's cocoa has been upgraded on the New York Stock Exchange. Liberian government threatens punitive actions against individuals allegedly stealing streetlights currently being installed across Monrovia. Youth and Sports Ministry and partners launch Sports for Peace initiative at ongoing national county meet. And away from home, the African Union AU secures an additional 400 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines for its members countries. Well, this is how we come to the end of the program, Lntv News Live. Many thanks to you all for your viewing role. Many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, technicians, switchers, and editors for making this package a success. Lntv News Live comes on every Monday to Friday with the early edition at 10 to 10:30 in the morning and the late edition at 8 to 8:30 in the evening. On behalf of the entire television staff, my name is Zokwe Beslekonen. I've anchored this edition. Good night from Pinzio. Thanks for watching.
Begin at tuneslikebeer.com.